Hi, Ken1171 here, and in this video, we're going to talk about dials. If you look at this character I have, this is a Highwire Dawn figure, and I have set some body and head shapes using dials. And if you look here on actor, the head dials, full head controls, no, morphs here. This is where some of the morphs come from. Um here expressions and so on. As you can see, if I wanted to see now which dials did I use to make this character, I would have to search through around 600 dials to find them. Um, in general, when Poser um, sets a dial, it it puts a green dot on the left, so we know which ones we have used. So if I wanted to see all the dials I have used here, um, only the ones that I have seen, it would be very difficult. It would take a long time. This is like 600 dials. Um, so searching and setting dials, the usual way with Poser, it's one thing at a time. And that's what inspired me to come with a new tool called the DialMaster. Let's launch it here. Here it is. The interface is divided into two sections. The top one, which is the search and filters, and then the bottom one, which is the dials and the values, which is pretty much like Poser does, except that if you look at how Poser dials are built, they have a name and then the picture of a fake dial and then a value on the right. What I did is I skipped the fake dial because I already know it's a dial. I don't need it to be drawn for me to know what it is. So if I click here on this dial here, and if I click and drag like I would with regular dials, you can see the morph being applied on the scene, and you can see the value here on the right. So this here is exactly what Poser does, except it's more compact because I'm not drawing the actual dial. I just know it is. All I have to do is click and drag over the morph name. So with the left button, if I click and drag, it does exactly the same as regular dials do. But if I right click the dial, it resets it back to 0. So left click to set the value by dragging, or right click to set it back to 0. And if I double click, I can type in whatever number I want and type enter. It sets the value to a precise number instead of dialing. Again, right-clicking sets it to 0. I have set 3 other functionalities that go beyond what normal Poser dials do concerning setting values, which means what I do with the right-clicking. If I just right-click, it sets it to 0. If I hold the control key down and right-click, it sets it to maximum value. If you look at a regular Poser dial, it has a max value, a mean value, and a sensibility. And I have these are hard coded to the dial. So some dials have maximum value, minimum value, some don't. So be careful when you set things to maximum and minimum values, because some dials, when you don't set them, they are set to like a million and minus a million. So if you set things to maximum value and the figure seems to explode, that's what it means. It means the maximum and minimum values were not set. And just right click the dial to bring it back to 0. So shift right click to set it to maximum value, control right clicking to set it to minimum value, whatever it is. However, some dials are not set to 0 on the minimum value. Like, for example, this lips parted dial is set to 1 as the default value instead of 0. So much that, for example, if I right click it, it's set to 0, but it shows the modified green dot on the left, meaning this is not what the default value is. If I want to set this back to whatever default value it has, I have to hold the Alt key and right click. So there are 3 modifier keys for setting values with the right click. Shift sets to maximum value, Control sets to minimum value, and Alt, right-clicking, sets to whatever the default value is. In most cases, the default value is set to 0. All right, so far, I just expanded a little bit what I can do with Dial. Now let's go further. If I click here, body definition and body bulk, I now have two dials selected. How do I do that? I click the first one, hold the Control key, and click another one. Could be anyone. Click it again to deselect it. As long as I'm holding the Control key, I can add or remove more. So let's start again. I'm going to select these two. I'm going to hold the Control key and right-click to set them to maximum value. So what I do with one dial, I can do to as many as I want. Again, that's not something we can do with regular dials. So let's keep expanding. Let's reset this two, and let's go to the hand. I can see here I have a nail length morph used, but I don't want to search in this list of 500 dials what it is. I'm going to go to the search box. By the way, if you hover the mouse over every part, it has a tooltip that tells you what each part is, so you don't have to guess. So let's search for nail. Just type in whatever you think the dial is called. And now my list has only 2 items, and that has nail in the name. And here it is. The one with 1 is the one that was used here. I have nail length that has a curve shape and a square shape. If I right-click this dial, I set it to 0. If I dial it up, or a shortcut is the shift right to right-click to set it to maximum value. And if I want to set them both at the same time to maximum value, I select them both and hold the shift key, right-click, and I set them both to maximum value. I'm going to remove the second one by right-clicking it. And now let's go to the face. Let's find the lip morph I had before, but as you can see, I have like 30. It's a very long list of lips dials with the name lip. What I can do now is, well, I can filter by type or by value, or both of them. So let's clear this list and let's take a look on what the filters are. If I say all, it means no filter. It's everything. If I say X, Y, and Z on the filter by type, it means only translations, rotations, and scale, which means it transforms. You may notice some dials are missing here because in my settings, show hidden parameters is not enabled. But I don't need to enable it there. I can enable it locally on the tool by checking this box here, show hidden parameters. And now I can see all the hidden and not hidden parameters in my tool. And I can change them and access them any way I want. And you will notice it does not change the poser settings. This is just local to my tool. The hidden parameters in poser are still hidden. All right, let's hide them back. So XYZ are the transforms, and then morphs. Morphs are all the dials that actually have morphs attached to them. Let's set this one to 1, which is how it was before, and list the lip morphs, and I have 30 of them. What if I want to only see the dials that are currently used? So I can filter the values that are not 0. When I do that, boom, now I have only showing the one dial for lips that I have used. And if you clear the list, if you clear this the search box and look at, we have 21 dials showing now, which is the equivalent of all the dials that are currently used in this figure. If I show the entire body, everything I did here with shapes, expressions, and head and body morphs, I can show them only the ones that have value, not zero, which is a very nifty way of finding out what morphs have been used to create this character by combining, filtering by only the morphs and the ones that are not zero. And if I type here body on the search box, now I only filter the ones, the morphs that have body in their name and that are currently in use. In other words, they have values other than zero. How cool is that? All right, let's clear the value filter, go back to the face, and I want to find the morphs, the dials that pose the eyes. What you type here would depend on what figure you are using. For HiveWire figures, the eyes, this keyword is what gets me the dials to pose the eyes. So here's the eye side and up down. If I dial this as usual, I don't have much control over if I want to put it at a specific place here. I kind of find it difficult because the dial is moving too fast. If you look at dials, settings in Poser, they have a sensibility. This is how much how much the morph or translation or rotation changes when I drag the dial. The bigger the value, the more it moves. You cannot change this on dials unless you go there and change their individual settings. To help this with this tool, for example, I want to be able to have more control when posing this dial. I have created 3 modifier keys for the dragging control. So if I hold Shift while dragging, I have double precision, which gives me more control. If that's not enough, if I hold the Control key when dragging, I have quadruple precision when dialing to give me more precise control. And if I hold the Alt key, I have millimetric, very, very precise control over the dial changes. So with these 3 modifier keys plus the regular dial, I have 4 levels of dialing precision. And when I'm doing this, I'm not changing the sensibility of the dial in Poser. This is just internal. So I'm not changing any settings in Poser. I'm just doing them as I dial in real time. How cool is that? So I can hold the Control key here and set the dial exactly what I want with more control. And again, things that you cannot do with regular dials. So we have talked about keyword searching by keyword. For example, scale. If I'm filtering by only morphs, and I enter a keyword for searching, let's see the whole body, I can see the scaling for both hands and feet. And if I select all and dial them, look what happens in the scene. I'm dialing all 4 dials at the same time. If I hold Shift key and right click, I set them to maximum value. If I hold Control key and right click, I set to minimum value. And if I right click, I just put them back to 0. I can do that only for the only from the right side. There you go. And so on and so forth. To select multiple items, if you want to make a regular sequential selection, you click the first one, hold the Shift key, and click the last one. This selects everything in between. If you want to select at a random order, you click the first one, then hold Control and click on others to add, or if you click again, it removes them while we are holding the control key. And this is how it works with any lists in Windows, at least. So you should be familiar with this because it's the same with all lists in Poser. And if I want to show the JCMs, I have to make sure I have morphs and I type JCM. You'll notice nothing shows. That's because I have hidden disabled. So if I enable hidden parameters, now I can see all the JCMs without having to change morph visibility in Poser itself. It's only in the tool. How cool is that? And if I hide them again, nothing shows. Let's clear the list. By the way, I have one button dedicating for clearing the search list. But of course, you can just select the text and delete it, or let me type it again, JCM, and click the clear button. It clears it too. And if you are, for example, with the hand selected, you only see the dials here for the hand. You'll notice that the number of dials always shows here in real time, showing you how many parameters the current actor has. And if I want to quickly go back to body, I have this button here, the B button. It goes back to body in one click, which is better than having to go look for it somewhere else. And that's very convenient. And that covers about everything. Thanks for watching.